She was once granted 670,000 by me. She knelt before me, begging for money. Now, I've just broken the tail light of her Maybach. She immediately demanded that I pay her $1 million. But all I had in my pocket was $100, just enough to deliver fish. The rain was pouring heavily at that time. I, bankrupt and in debt, was rushing to deliver fish to a restaurant. One moment of distraction, and I crashed into the Maybach in front of me. In the instant I fell to the ground, I saw the shattered light of the Maybach. A cold shiver ran through me. This would at least cost $100,000 to repair. The car door opened under the heavy rain. I sat amidst broken foam boxes and fish flopping around. My head was filled with a loud buzzing noise. I was fully responsible wrong way, overloaded, speeding, and not paying attention. Then a pair of high heels stepped through the water. I numbly spoke. "Sorry, I didn't see your car." A pair of gukti men's leather shoes quickly followed. A deep male voice, tinged with anger, spoke. "How do you even ride a bike?" That familiar voice. I looked up and saw a face with sharp, defined features. It was Wang Tia, the national heartthrob, trending on social media. And standing next to him, holding an umbrella, was actually Liu Ruyan, the one who had followed me for 2 years. The sports student who made me spend $670,000 just 3 days ago, the hometown show team in my dream, had arrived in my hometown, Yanmi town. Liu Ruyan and Wang Tia. One a rising star in the sports world, the other a top entertainment figure. Both were heavyweight guests on the show. The whole town was buzzing. Every household wanted to see the big shots and celebrities in person. As for Liu Ruyan, I didn't want to see her. I avoided her at all costs. Liu Ruyan crouched down. She reached out and took off my helmet. Her fair, slender fingers brushed across my cheek. She stared at me quietly. Her voice was as cold as snow on a mountain peak. "My car is a customized Maybach S-Class. Just pay $1 million for the broken headlight." Wang Tia looked at the live fish scattered on the ground. "Ruyan, why don't we let it go? He seems to be having a tough time." Liu Ruyan stood up. She looked down at me from above. "Everyone should pay for their own mistakes." "What mistake? Is it the broken headlight? Is it crushing her dignity? Or is it tempting her to taste the forbidden fruit?" I chuckled bitterly. I pulled out my ID and handed it to her. "I will pay for my own mistakes. If possible, I'd like to go deliver my fish now." "Don't worry, I won't back out on the ID you have as collateral. Time doesn't allow for sadness." I took off my jacket and began packing the fish inside. "These fish are worth over $1,000. I can't afford to waste them." In the heavy rain, I tied the jacket with the fish to the electric bike. A pair of hands suddenly blocked my way. Liu Ruyan snatched the jacket with the fish from me. She placed it in the trunk of the Maybach. "Get in the car, we're going to the hospital." I was about to refuse and turn back. Liu Ruyan's voice was unwavering. "What if something happens to you while you're riding? What should I say when we meet again?" I didn't insist any further and just softly asked, "Could we go to Xiang's grilled fish shop first?" Liu Ruyan, with her back to me, nodded slightly. I sat in the back of her Maybach, drenched through. Of course, it was the back seat. Wang Tia sat in the passenger seat, trying to make conversation. "Your Mandarin is quite standard. You don't look like a local either. Are you from somewhere else?" I nodded. "Yanmi is my hometown. I stayed here when I was very young." "I know that. The hometown show always visits a guest's hometown. Yanmi is the final stop. Everyone online says that Liu Ruyan and Wang Tia will officially announce something here." He smiled and continued asking, "Why did you decide to come live in Yanmi? Did you fall for one of the local girls?" The buzzing sound in my head hadn't quieted. I even felt a bit nauseous. I didn't want to talk much. I just mumbled a vague dizzy. I saw Liu Ruyan's cold, sharp eyes in the rearview mirror. The moment I locked eyes with Liu Ruyan, the car's speed suddenly shot up. When we arrived at the grilled fish shop, Liu Ruyan wordlessly adjusted the car and moved the fish. When Xiang, the owner of the grilled fish shop, saw Liu Ruyan, his eyes widened in surprise. He quietly pulled me aside and asked, "Isn't that? Doesn't she look like that ski champion? Why is she bringing you fish?" I quickly dismissed it. "You must have mistaken her. She's just a little sister of mine visiting for tourism." Just then, I met Liu Ruyan's deep, cold gaze. I shouldn't have told that lie. This was something I had said before. That summer, when she first came to my side, I took her to various gatherings and parties. At a friend's birthday party, someone made a pointed remark. "Wow, Guyan, this beautiful flower must have cost you quite a bit, right?" At that moment, Liu Ruyan's body stiffened, deeply embarrassed. I leaned against Liu Ruyan, swirling my red wine, and teasingly said to the crowd, "Stop joking, this is just my little sister." Liu Ruyan straightened up, moving past me with the fish. The hospital was only a 5-minute drive away. At the window, I provided the address and phone number and created a file. Liu Ruyan put on a baseball cap with the brim pulled low. She leaned against the railing, standing neither too close nor too far. In my memory, she used to quietly stand like that. Quietly standing outside the window. Quietly standing in the snow. Quietly standing by the sea. For years had passed, but she seemed unchanged. Her slender figure overlapped with the girl I remembered. In a daze, I was transported back to that scorching summer afternoon. She stood tall in the corridor like a white poplar. A white shirt with peeling prints. Faded jeans washed from countless washes. Perfectly shaped features and figure. Desperately poor yet radiating youthful vitality. I stood by the floor-to-ceiling window, tracing with a paintbrush the sunlight that exposed her arm and calf. That day, she traveled through mountains and rivers to find her mother, who was the housekeeper Liu Ma at my family's villa. She came to ask for her grandmother's medical fees, but was turned away. I gave her 10,000 yuan. I asked her to be my model for the day. She agreed. The scene shifted. We were back at the ski resort. At that time, Liu Ruyan was struggling to get by. She worked multiple jobs. She taught skiing, taught swimming, delivered food, and made deliveries, all to cover her grandmother's medical and caregiving expenses. I pretended not to know how to ski and asked her to teach me. She was a woman of few words, and aside from skiing techniques, she wasn't willing to talk to me about anything else. That night before leaving, she brought the snowboard to my room. Taking advantage of the alcohol, I asked her in her ear, "Do you want to live a bit easier?" She furrowed her brows and firmly shook her head, refusing. And soon it was that rainy night. She called me, "Mr. Gu, are you still interested in me?" When I arrived at the hospital's intensive care unit, she was bent over, head down, holding a bill that seemed astronomical, leaning against the hospital corridor wall. Like a pine tree bent under the weight of snow, I reached out to touch her but grasped nothing. In my panic, I called out, "Liu Ruyan." Finally, I managed to hold onto something. Strange voices filled my ears. "It's nothing, just a mild concussion. Just take a few days to rest and you'll be fine." My mind was hazy and my reflexes kicked in. "I still need to sell fish tomorrow." The doctor said, "That's not possible. You can't exert yourself, you need rest." Everything before me shifted from blurry to clear. Once I was fully awake, I realized I was lying in the hospital bed, and gripping my hand tightly was Liu Ruyan's hand. I was startled, but quickly, I calmly and awkwardly let go to ease the tension. I lay in the hospital bed for an hour under observation. It felt like being on hot oil. Wang Tia had to return to the production team for an urgent matter. The large hospital room was left with just Liu Ruyan and me. The ticking of the wall clock was the only sound. I pretended to feel dizzy and tossed and turned. I positioned my back toward her as if I were facing away. Finally, I spoke first. I'm fine. If you have something to do, you can go ahead. After a moment, Liu Ruyan coldly replied, "Can't you even say long time no see? Isn't that basic courtesy? But I can see you've been doing well." "How do you know I'm doing well?" I adjusted the blanket. "You're a world champion, a rising star in the sports world. You're doing better than 99% of the people on this planet." Liu Ruyan asked me, "Are you doing well?" "I'm doing fine. Every day I sell fish, deliver fish, and I don't worry about food or drink." Liu Ruyan fell silent for a while, not speaking again. When she left, she was recognized by a nurse. Immediately, a group of nurses surrounded her asking for autographs. Taking advantage of the chaos, I quickly slipped away. Back at the small courtyard, Uncle Ju was anxiously waiting by the door. "Ziyan, are you okay? What's with this flashy outfit?" "Wang Tia said he was worried you might catch a cold, so he made me wear his whole Gucci set." I replied, "I ran into a good person who lent me their clothes." Uncle Ju didn't press further. "Come, it's time to eat. Your little brother's waiting for you. By the way, let me tell you, I did a live stream today, teaching people how to trim beards. I earned 370 yuan. When my fan base grows and I start making big money, I'll make enough to stop selling fish. You can just focus on painting." My little brother heard the noise and rushed out, grabbing my hand and eagerly asking and answering his own question. "Brother, guess what we have to eat today? We've got spicy stir-fried river shrimp." Uncle Ju caught them from the little stream with a net. I didn't mention the car accident today or that I might have to pay 1 million. Uncle Ju didn't bring up that the landlord had come to collect the rent again either. Late at night, I pulled out a white notebook from the worn drawer. Inside, there were many names. Some had paid their debts and were crossed out. Others had urgent financial needs, marked with stars. These were workers injured in that explosion accident years ago. Back then, there had been a disaster at a large factory in the southern part of the country. The casualties were devastating. My father, as a responsible party, was sentenced to 5 years. All of the family's assets went toward compensation. When I visited him in prison, he cried bitterly. "Ziyan, your little brother is still young. Uncle Ju has no skills to make a living. In the future, I'll be counting on you to take care of them and pay off the debts. Wait for me to get out. When I get out, I'll figure something out." As I left, I gently held his hand. "Don't worry, Dad, I'll take care of them. Over the years, I've spent all my savings. I've sold my paintings at a loss, worked day and night, doing whatever I could to compensate some of the workers. But it's still nowhere near enough. Some people are struggling more than I am." I really couldn't hold on any longer when they asked if they could pay back a portion first. It was always done cautiously. There were also those who were furious beyond measure. Regularly, someone would call to check on my whole family. While I was contemplating who to pay back first this week, a strange number came in. I pressed the answer button. To my surprise, it was Liu Ruyan's voice. "Guyan, I'm at the door." I heard her calling my name. I froze for a moment. It was so familiar yet so unfamiliar at the same time. "It's too late. It's not convenient. The car light assessment is done. Just tell me the amount. The ID card is with you. I won't back out." Her voice grew colder. "Do you not want the electric bike anymore?" In the dim moonlight, Liu Ruyan stood alone by the creek, near the willow tree, noble and distant, in stark contrast to the shabby second-hand electric bike beside her. I had no idea how she had managed it. I thought there was no way her trunk would fit it. I stood by the gate and didn't move any further. "Thank you for bringing the bike back for me." Actually, leaving it by the roadside wouldn't have mattered. People in the town are simple. No one would steal it. How much did the car light assessment cost? 1 million, right? She walked up to me and cast a shadow in front of me. The intense pressure made me instinctively step back 2 paces. She stared into my eyes. Do you have the money to pay me back now? I paused for a moment. I really didn't have the money to pay back. In my white notebook, Liu Ruyan didn't even make it into the top 30 pages. Give me some time. I will pay you back. Liu Ruyan's voice was cold. You also have another option. Do you remember the game you played back then? Standing for a day for 10,000. The Carlight assessment is 30,000. Stand for me for 3 days. Everyone has to pay for their mistakes. I finally understood what Liu Ruyan meant by those words. And an eye, a tooth. Stand for 3 days. Instantly, my throat went dry. She laughed. Don't worry, it's just standing for 3 days. My tense heart finally relaxed, and I replied, all right, 30,000 wasn't a small amount for me right now. Moreover, I didn't want to be endlessly tangled up with her over this 30,000. After getting in the car, she sped off. She drove swiftly up the winding mountain road. We arrived at a villa halfway up the mountain. I recognized this villa. From my small courtyard, I could see it from a distance. It had originally been rented by a foreign photographer. Later, it was empty for 2 years. Half a year ago, it was bought by someone, though it hadn't been lived in much. It turned out Liu Ruyan had bought it. Thinking of what the young man at the neighboring vegetable stall said, Yanmi is Wang Tian's childhood home. The two of them are going to announce something here. It must have been bought for Wang Tia. I stood at the front gate for a moment, hesitating. Liu Ruyan asked, are you regretting it? I softly replied, I haven't returned Wang Tian's clothes to him yet. I wasn't sure what Liu Ruyan truly wanted to do, but something felt out of place. I wanted to remind her that she had a boyfriend. Liu Ruyan opened the door and walked in, her voice growing distant. You don't need to return them. He doesn't need that set of clothes. I took a deep breath and followed her into the villa. The villa was empty. There were no signs of anyone living there. In the spacious, clean guest room, Liu Ruyan took a wine glass and poured herself a drink. She then casually held the glass and walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows to admire the mountain view. I nervously stood in place and asked her, what do you want me to do? Liu Ruyan remained silent. I asked again, Liu Ruyan, what do you want me to do? Then a cold voice came from her, only 3 words. Take off your clothes. I froze in place. Years ago, I had also poured a glass of wine like that and told her to take off her clothes. That time, I had paid her 670,000 for her medical expenses, and she packed her bags and came to the address I gave her. That was my private studio. She nervously stood in the large glass room while I held a paintbrush, scrutinizing her, saying, take off your clothes. She lost all color from her face. She slowly removed her clothes, only stopping when she was down to her underwear. Her fingers tightly gripped her palms, growing pale. Keep going. Life's ups and downs are unpredictable. Back then, I never imagined a day would come when our positions would be reversed. I calmly said, we agreed 3 days of standing, nothing else. Her voice remained as calm as ever. Don't worry, I said you won't sleep, and you won't. Then why are you making me take off my clothes? Though I was short on money. But I wouldn't let someone play with me for 30,000. When I made her take off her clothes back then, it was to paint her. Now, what is she doing this for? Is it to humiliate me? She walked closer to me and whispered in my ear. What about 30,000, 300,000, or 30 million? 30,000 could allow Uncle Wang's son, with his burned face, to get surgery. 3 million could save over 20 families from financial ruin. 30 million could erase most of the debts I still need to pay. At that point, I no longer hesitated. I swiftly unbuttoned my shirt. But I couldn't help thinking, when Liu Ruyan took off her clothes in my studio all those years ago, did she feel the same way? During the 2 years I was with Liu Ruyan, I painted many portraits of her. Some with clothes, some without. Some half-dressed, some not dressed at all. I was obsessed with painting her. Different scenes, different styles. Different looks, different emotions. I painted the texture and lines of her muscles. I painted the hormones of a woman under light and shadow. I painted the innocence and confusion of a girl. I painted the vigor and pride of a woman. At first, she was ashamed and angry, but later she just complied. Whenever I wanted to paint her, a phone call, and she would appear at my door. Whenever she had free time, I would also take her around the world. To Zermatt for skiing, to Fiji for diving and chasing dolphins, to Egypt to skydive by the pyramids, to Kyoto to listen to the rain. In every place, I left behind paintings that satisfied me. We ate, lived, and traveled together, but we never crossed that line. I'm not a pure-hearted, selfless person. Paying her medical expenses was only because that amount of money meant nothing to me. I didn't cross that line with her. At first, I didn't want to ruin my inspiration for painting. Then later on, Later, I couldn't even explain why. I had a strange relationship with her for nearly 2 years. Many people thought I was playing with her, and playing her like a game. Even my father, who rarely paid attention to me, had subtly reminded me, "Guyen, don't take it too far." But the truth is, I was only painting her. Though sometimes my methods were unconventional, and some of my works were bold and avant-garde, but I was still just painting her. The first time I crossed the line was after watching one of her swimming competitions. One day, I happened to pass by her school, and on a whim, I went in to see her. At that time, the university swimming competition was taking place in the gymnasium. When I walked in, the electronic starting gun fired. Liu Ruyan was in the 4th lane, diving into the water like a flying fish. Her veins popped, her back muscles tensed, and she sprinted with all her strength. It was intense and scorching. After the race, Liu Ruyan walked toward me, wearing a quick dry towel. Water droplets slid down her back, which hadn't fully relaxed yet. It made my fingertips tingle. Afterward, I took her to a hotel suite and asked her to stand under the shower head. Then I set up the canvas and picked up the brush to start painting. She looked at me, her expression obedient yet confused, like a little dog drenched by the rain. It was in stark contrast to the confident, energetic, and youthful image she had when she removed her goggles and raised her arms to cheer in the daylight. That created a huge emotional contrast. Some kind of emotion was stirred up, and the warm, palpable tension in the air grew stronger. I threw the brush aside and stood up to gently touch her face, wrapping my arms around her neck. Just as I was about to kiss her, she slightly turned her head. I instantly snapped back to reality, my gaze turning cold. After that day, Liu Ruyan and I fell into an awkward situation. We hardly contacted each other. During the National Day holiday, she told me she had been selected for the national training team and would be staying in northern Xinjiang for a while. I only said 3 words, "Congratulations." She eagerly asked if we could meet. I moved my phone to the side. I spent a week painting at the studio, but not a single piece was satisfying. In the end, I decided to meet her. That night, Liu Ruyan and I sat side by side on the rooftop of a skyscraper. Liu Ruyan asked me, "Why do you like painting me so much? And why only paint me?" I answered calmly, "When I get tired of painting you, I'll naturally move on to the next one." She lowered her eyebrows and softly said, "I understand." I didn't tell her that I could never get tired of painting her. No one had ever made my soul tremble the way she did. Just by standing there, she made my inspiration surge like a mountain torrent, rushing forth uncontrollably. On the rooftop, Liu Ruyan's bangs were blown askew by the wind. Her profile was like a perfect work of art. Finally, she spoke. Gu Yan, I know I was wrong. No matter what, I shouldn't have run away. I smiled lightly. Liu Ruyan. True love is about mutual feelings. If you don't like me, I won't force it. Before I could finish, I felt a warmth on my cheek. Liu Ruyan kissed me. It was innocent and slightly nervous. She carefully pulled back. Will you come to northern Xinjiang to paint me? I looked at her, unable to tell if she was afraid of making me unhappy or if there was something else behind her eyes. Just like later in the snow cabin in northern Xinjiang, she removed her top by my bed, revealing her lower abdomen. Nervously yet determined, she pulled my hand to her chest. I couldn't tell then either. It didn't matter, I didn't need an answer. I knew what I wanted. I cupped her face with one hand, whispering near her lips, "Look closely, this is a kiss that asks for nothing in return." While Liu Ruyan was in training, I stayed in a snow cabin in northern Xinjiang, painting snow-capped mountains, frozen rivers, wild horses, and misty pines. But no matter what I painted, I was never satisfied. An Italian art dealer even commented, "Guyen, your paintings are beautiful, but they lack soul." I threw down the brush in frustration and anger. In my carelessness, I twisted my ankle. I sent a message to Liu Ruyan, but she didn't reply. The training schedule was packed, and I wasn't sure if she had any time off. I couldn't rely on her. So I called a friend in northern Xinjiang. I asked her to arrange a reliable caregiver for me. My friend laughed and said, "Got it, I'll arrange it right away." But in the end, she arranged a Slavic-looking female model for me. When Liu Ruyan appeared at the door in the snowstorm, the Slavic model was busy watching a tutorial video, holding my foot and learning how to adjust the bones. Liu Ruyan didn't ask any questions. She just placed everything properly and took care of my ankle injury. That night by the fireplace, the three of us sat each holding a cup of tea, staring at each other. I introduced, "This is the new caregiver." Liu Ruyan immediately spoke. "She doesn't look like a caregiver." The Slavic model, dissatisfied, said, "I am a caregiver. Just because I'm beautiful doesn't mean you can doubt my professional abilities." She finished, then flirted. "Guyen, how about I sleep on your rooms for tonight? It'll be easier to take care of you." Liu Ruyan set her water cup down heavily, and for the first time, there was a hint of anger in her voice. "You'll sleep on the living room sofa." That night, Liu Ruyan, holding a blanket, laid down a bed on the floor by my bed. There were many times we used to share the same room. Sometimes, when I was tired from painting, I'd lie down on the sofa in the studio, and she'd curl up next to me. That happened often. My friend called to ask if the caregiver was useful. I hummed in response. The Slavic model's appearance and body were indeed impressive. But honestly, I had really twisted my ankle. What I needed was a caregiver. But all she could do was flirt. I hung up the phone, and Liu Ruyan immediately asked me, "Can she leave tomorrow? I have a week off this time. I can also take care of you." I leaned on my head and joked, "Why are you jealous?" She didn't answer but suddenly stood up. She walked while taking off her top. Bare-chested, she walked up to me. "Gu Yan, does her appearance and figure match mine?" She grabbed my hand again, placing it on her vest line. "Is it? I am more familiar with her body than anyone else. Every muscle's shape, every line's direction, it's all etched in my mind. However, to touch her so boldly and passionately, this is the first time. Her body is burning hot and supple. Her breathing is tense and heavy." I looked up at her. "Liu Ryan, do you know what you're doing?" She trembled as her fingers brushed my lips. Her voice was hoarse. "I'm pleasing you, seducing you." This sentence made the already warm atmosphere heat up even more. The moment I lightly bit her fingertip, she gasped heavily. A desperate yet clumsy kiss fell like a storm. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Between breaths, her hand moved from my waist all the way down. I pressed her down. Liu Ryan, there are others outside. That's why I said she could leave tomorrow. Waking up in an unfamiliar bedroom at dawn, the black and white tones were cold and chilling. The room was empty except for me. I stared at the ceiling, detached, thinking, why did I dream of the snow house again? These years, I deliberately tried not to think about it. I wanted to forget everything from the past. But when I saw Liu Ryan, those fragmented pieces, one by one, started to emerge in a rush. I hugged the blanket, recalling last night, only to feel confused. Under Liu Ryan's cold, moonlit gaze, I took off my clothes, one piece at a time. Liu Ryan stood there, silently watching. There was no satisfaction in her eyes from revenge, nor any primal desire. Just emptiness, nothing at all. It was as if she was looking at an object. I tried to recall what kind of look I had when she repeatedly undressed in front of me back then. What kind of gaze I had. Yes, it was like this. As if I were looking at an object, looking at a piece of art. When she had stripped down to just her underwear, Liu Ryan set her wine glass down properly. I gently pushed down my belt with my fingertips. She turned her back, her voice hoarse. Enough! After saying that, she turned and walked away. Yes! Without a word, she left the villa directly. Half an hour later, a stranger appeared. She told me how to use the facilities in the villa and invited me to stay for 3 days. I asked if it was only for 3 days. She answered yes. Miss Liu arranged it this way. So I took a long overdue proper shower and slept on a comfortable, spacious, soft bed. For 3 days, I did nothing. I just ate 3 meals a day here and slept soundly for 3 days. On the last morning, my ID card was placed by the bed. I didn't know if Liu Ryan had been here, or if the housekeeper had left it there. This means 3 days, 30,000, and everything cleared. I picked up my ID card. Looking at her photo on the bedside table, her expression was calm, like the serene surface of a lake. In the end, she couldn't go against her true nature. She couldn't do anything vile. It's hard to say. That night, who really seduced whom? After all, I had kept the Slavic model here, with the intention of provoking her. The following days returned to their usual routine. I continued coming and going early and late, selling my fish. In the morning market, I buried my head in the fish scales, counting how long it would be until my father was released from prison. A bright, sunny female voice suddenly rang out, asking how much the grass carp was. I looked up and saw the idol actress Lu Wei, along with several cameramen. Not far behind her stood Liu Ryan. Liu Ryan looked at me like a stranger. Lu Wei, with a bright smile, waited for my answer. I understood. They were doing a program task. I purposely raised the price to 8,000 per pound. She frowned. You just sold it to that old man for 20 per pound. I smiled, understanding that you're a big star, money is no problem. But he's just a small-town old man. How much you sell for? The fish prices are naturally different. Lu Wei muttered, this is robbery logic. Bro, you're being too shady. I raised an eyebrow without saying anything. Liu Ryan asked me, we don't have that much money right now. Do you think this could work? We'll help you sell fish for a day, and you'll give us to fish. Lu Wei was shocked, asking for to fish after selling for a whole day. Liu Ryan nodded. I handed her the knife, letting her kill the fish. She casually took the knife and began working with a steady hand. She removed the innards. I handed her a plastic bag. She took it and threw the guts inside. The whole process was so smooth. Lu Wei watched, dumbfounded. Sister Ryan, if I didn't know, I'd think you and this guy have been partners for years. At these words, Liu Ryan's movements paused for a moment. I also stayed silent for a while. Back when Liu Ryan used to make me fish soup, I would rest my chin on the edge of the counter and casually pass her the knife or seasonings for the soup. It turned out Lu Wei had guessed it right. That evening, the vegetable stall boy rushed into my small yard, shouting. In that day's live stream comments, many messages were calling me a cold-hearted devil. Let the world champion kill fish for an entire day. Liu Ryan endured humiliation and hardship just to make fish soup for our King Tia. She really endured a lot for this. So it was all for making fish soup for King Tia? I silently scrolled through the rapidly increasing income, calculated the balance, and looked at the white ledger. I transferred 1,000 to the few people who urgently needed money. A couple of days later, I received a phone call. It was from the Dreamlike Hometown program team. They asked me to deliver fish. It seemed they needed extra food for dinner. I called the vegetable stall boy to come along, and we went to the program team's suburban compound. From afar, I saw Liu Ryan with a group of celebrities. They sat around in the small courtyard, chatting leisurely and happily. I faintly heard Liu Ryan's and Wang Tian's names being mentioned frequently. I also heard Wang Tian's hearty laughter. While counting money, Lu Wei over there caused a commotion. She spoke to Wang Tia, dissatisfied. You don't get to decide. An outsider should judge. Then she shouted loudly at me. Those two fish-selling guys. Who do you think is the most beautiful among us? The vegetable stall boy, who was helping me, walked over first. I'm not a guy. I'm even younger than you. And I think Sister Ryan is the most beautiful. From any angle, she's the best. The vegetable stall boy was Liu Ryan's loyal fan. He used to update me on her news, like when she broke records, won medals, or got new endorsements. He knew it all clearly. Of course, he would choose Liu Ryan. Everyone burst into laughter, and Wang Tia laughed too. Lu Wei, the eyes of the public are sharp. Stop humiliating yourself. Lu Wei was not pleased. She stood up, bringing her face close to mine. Tell me, who's more beautiful, me or Liu Ryan? She winked at me behind everyone's back, pleading for me to give her some face. Liu Ryan sat far away, not looking at me. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw her pick up her teacup, but she didn't rush to drink. Lu Wei looked at me expectantly. I paused for a moment before satisfying her. You're more beautiful than Liu Ryan. I turned around, picked up the bamboo basket, and walked out of the courtyard. Behind me, I heard the sound of a cup shattering. But it has nothing to do with me. A dreamlike, illusory world of joy. One that has never been connected to my life, which is steeped in the smell of fish. Yet somehow it has become part of my life. I didn't appear much on camera, but inexplicably, my presence in the show's discussions kept growing. The program team had a keen sense. The producer quickly found me and asked if I had any other talents. They wanted to arrange a surprise segment for me. They offered 5,000 for the day. All I had to do was maintain my indifferent persona. So I accepted a task to draw unforgettable moments for the guests. The first person I drew was Lu Wei. She came up and immediately tried to flatter me. Bro, I didn't expect you to kill fish and also know how to draw. That's amazing. After I finished the drawing, she eagerly praised me. Wow, where did you learn to draw, bro? This is really amazing. I responded casually, Yale University School of Art. She was completely stunned. So why are you killing fish here? I asked in return. Is it disgraceful to kill fish in a small town? She quickly explained. I didn't mean that. I just thought it seemed a bit beneath you. I didn't say anything. I took Lu Wei on a walk around the town. On the school's walls, there were the mural paintings I had created with my students. There were various patterns I had taught the umbrella maker to paint. There were designs I had worked on with my mentor. There were drawings of what they looked like when they were young, based on descriptions. I told her, selling fish is my job. Drawing is my hobby. The two don't conflict. For the first time, Lu Wei genuinely praised me. You're really special. After this episode of the live stream, Lu Wei's attitude towards me changed from fake politeness to sincere closeness. It seemed like she truly considered me a friend now. The other guests, including Wang Tia, were still polite, but Liu Ryan was different. During the days in the small courtyard, she intentionally avoided me. Whenever I appeared, she would immediately leave. I greeted her politely, but she only nodded distantly. One thing life has taught me is, if you want to live happily, never waste energy on internal conflict. So I didn't let it bother me. I just planned how to guide the guests to visit more hidden gems in the town, to attract more investors and tourists, and also make a bit more money for myself. When I drew Wang Tian's unforgettable moment, it was a sunny afternoon. I carried my dry-cleaned Goosey D. He smiled and said, "Let me give it to you." Just like Liu Ryan said, he definitely didn't lack this outfit. He and I sat under the tree in the courtyard. Only the camera kept working. Wang Tia started with a question. Have you ever lost anyone? I knew. He wasn't really asking me. I had lost someone very important when I was very young. I moved from Yanmi to the northeast. There I met an older sister. We were very close. She took me skiing, took me fishing, took me running all over the mountains. Later, I went abroad with my family, and I lost contact with this older sister. I thought I would never see her again. But unexpectedly, I saw her at the World Alpine Ski Championship. That should be the most unforgettable moment of my life. I was so excited at the time, I mistakenly gave the flowers I meant for a friend to her instead. Can you help me recreate that scene? Can you draw it for me? I nodded and began drawing. When I finished, he looked from another angle and exclaimed, "This is so accurate. Exactly the same." I remained silent. I remembered that scene so clearly, naturally, it came out vivid in the drawing. When my family encountered trouble, Liu Ryan was abroad attending a competition. At that time, only 2 months had passed since the warmth of the northern snow house. Late at night, on the TV, I saw her winning the championship. On the live broadcast, Liu Ryan and her teammates were shaking hands and hugging. One boy, a boy I had never seen before, ran up to her, holding flowers, and jumped into her arms. Liu Ryan's face shifted from surprise to joy as she said something. When she was with me, she was always melancholy and silent. But the Liu Ryan on the screen had a confidence and joy I had never seen before. Wang Tia stared at the drawing for a moment, then turned to look at me. You even know what me and a Yan were wearing? I said, I watched that competition, China's first alpine skiing Grand Slam. It's hard not to remember. It's so clear in my mind. Are you a fan of a Yan? I thought for a moment before answering. I just enjoy watching skiing. As I packed up my brushes and paints, getting ready to leave, a few staff members were chatting nearby. They were discussing whether Wang Qian's announcement counted as official. One said yes, the other said no. Have you ever seen a couple announce things unilaterally? If tomorrow Liu Ryan records her unforgettable moment and talks about Wang Jia, then it's definitely an official announcement. Then our show will blow up, right? They've been guessing about these two online for so long. Once it's officially announced tomorrow, all the programmers across the internet will be working overtime. I grabbed my paint box and easel and left. That evening, I sat in the small courtyard, watching the stars. I saw the lights in the half-mountain villa turn on. I quietly watched for a while. Uncle Ju came out and draped a coat over me. Ziyan, what's wrong? Not happy recording the show? If you're not happy, we don't have to go. I shook my head and smiled. How could I be unhappy? They're paying 5,000 a day. The next day, I arrived at the little courtyard early to paint. Liu Ryan arrived even earlier, sleeping lightly in a wicker chair under the old locust tree. I tiptoed in, silently preparing my painting tools. During the past few days, Liu Ryan had hardly paid any attention to me, so I wisely kept my presence as minimal as possible. But Liu Ryan still woke up. I heard the sound of her pouring and drinking water. I didn't look at her, but for some reason, I felt her gaze following me, cold and intense. While mixing colors, Lu Wei arrived. The past few days, whenever Lu Wei had free time, she would circle around me. A few days ago, the program team set up a tug-of-war game for 2 people. Lu Wei didn't have a partner, so she invited me to join. After we won against the other team, we faced off against Liu Ryan and Wang Tia. We were already about to lose. After all, Liu Ryan is a professional athlete. I was well aware of her physical strength. But then someone on their side must have loosened their grip, and I ended up falling into Lu Wei's arms. Lu Wei, who loves to joke, playfully hugged me and said, "Handsome brother, I just realized you're actually quite handsome." After that, she kept sticking to me. At that moment, she was circling around me. With a knowing look, she asked if I could teach her how to paint. Then she asked if I wanted to be her agent. She said, "If you like Yanmi and don't want to leave, I can move my studio over here too." I coldly responded, "I don't know how to be an agent. I only know how to paint and kill fish. You don't have to worry. I can ask my current agent to teach you." I was speechless. Suddenly, Lu Wei started joking with Liu Ryan again. "Sister Ryan, why are you drinking so early? Is it to build some courage for later?" I looked over and Liu Ryan really was drinking. Does announcing a relationship require alcohol for courage? Lu Wei kept talking nonstop, and Liu Ryan kept drinking, one glass after another. It was when I dragged Lu Wei to the old farmhouse a few days ago that an old man had given us homemade wine. I don't know how it ended up in Liu Ryan's hands. I set up the canvas and mixed the colors, trying to get Lu Wei to leave. Lu Wei grinned and asked Liu Ryan, "Sister Ryan, is it okay for me to stay here? I want to watch my idol paint." Liu Ryan put down her glass of wine. "A few days ago, you called him your night buddy. Now he's your idol." Lu Wei immediately panicked. "Sister Ryan, don't say that." "When did I ever say that?" Liu Ryan, with a calm expression, didn't respond. Lu Wei shrugged helplessly. Before she left, she whispered in my ear, "Bro, don't believe what she says. She's been acting strange lately. Every day looking like she's carrying a heavy grudge, like a ghost." After Lu Wei left, Liu Ryan drank 2 more glasses of wine. I sat quietly, waiting for her to start speaking. Without a sound, she suddenly stood up, tapped the live stream equipment, walked over to me and stood in front of me. I looked at her in confusion. She leaned forward, wrapping her arms around my chair, lowered her head, gazing at me with a cool tone. "You're really something. Not even 3 days. Lu Wei starts talking all about you. Reduced to selling fish at the market, and still not forgetting to flirt with little girls?" I turned my head, trying to get up and leave. "How much have you drunk? What's with this nonsense?" She pushed me back into the chair and leaned close to my ear. Her breath was instantly audible. "Is it for money? What Lu Wei can give you, I can give you. If you want to promote Yanmi, if you want money, anything you want to do, I can help. You know I can do it better than her." "Guyan, don't you know that?" "Maybe I do know. At least on the day I broke up with her." I knew! The day after her victory, she hurriedly came back to the country. She came to my studio to find me, but walked in and found me painting that Slavic model. The model was completely naked, lazily lying on that satin sofa. The sofa that only she had ever laid on. Liu Ryan froze in place, silent and still. Her face drained of all color. And I didn't stop brushing the brush in my hand. She walked over to me, eyes red. You want to paint other people, I understand, it's fine. Did you see me win the championship? I looked at her blankly and cruelly interrupted. Liu Ryan, I'm tired of you. I handed her a bank statement. This is the money you transferred to me. 26,000 in total. Most of it is from the prize money she won at various international competitions. The rest, don't bother returning. It was originally your fee for being my model. She clutched that paper tightly. Muttering to herself, model? Her fingers trembled one last time, and she gently brushed my cheek. She gazed at me with eyes full of sorrow. Her fingertips slid down, pressing against my chest. Guyen, is your heart empty? I didn't answer. I would never forget. The scene of Liu Ryan like a wounded fox storming out after slamming the door. So I could understand her coldness, her unpredictability. I had broken up with her in the way that would hurt her the most. She never said a harsh word. In fact, the very next day, she transferred me the remaining 410,000. I didn't know how she managed to gather that money. Meeting an ex who started something and abandoned it. She had been more than restrained, more than dignified. Now, it was only when drunk that she spoke nonsense and lost composure. I coldly reminded her. Liu Ryan, you're drunk. Don't forget, you have a boyfriend. As for Lu Wei, whatever happens between us, you have no right to interfere. Liu Ryan tried to pull away from my grip. You're right, I have no right to interfere. You were right when you said that. At that moment, the director called from outside, asking why the live stream had cut off. The earpiece was silent. Lu Wei's voice also appeared. Handsome brother, are you okay? Do you need help? Liu Ryan turned and left the courtyard. Director Wu just hit the line. Give me 15 minutes and we'll start again. When she returned, her face looked much fresher. It seemed like she went to sober up. She politely greeted me and sat back in the wicker chair. She said, we can start now. As she spoke, she had returned to her normal self. Distant, polite, calm, completely different from the person moments ago. I felt somewhat confused. Is she announcing it now? She began her description. I don't want to paint a specific moment. I want to ask you to paint someone. Most of the unforgettable moments of my life are related to the same person. The voice of the director came through my earpiece. Liu Ryan, are you announcing it now? Then I heard the director instructing the staff. Tell the social media promotion team to get ready. Today's show is going to blow up. Also, have Wang Tia hurry over after his interview. Liu Ryan furrowed her brows, took off her earpiece, and continued her speech. He will be the only light in my life. He is the rose, the pine tree, the thorn. He is a complex yet deeply captivating soul. He has taught me many things. He taught me how to love, how to hate. He taught me to hope, and he taught me despair. He is wild, yet restrained. He is indulgent, yet controlled. He is cruel, yet kind. He is passionate, yet indifferent. He is lovable, yet hateful. All the beautiful words can be used to describe him. All the ugly words can also be used to describe him. He makes people love him and hate him. When happy, it's like soaring in the clouds. When in pain, it burns every part of you. I am the fox waiting for his footsteps in the desert. But he is the little prince who doesn't even care about roses. He has never truly placed me in his heart. In reality, maybe he doesn't even have a heart. She shifted her gaze away from the camera and, like an eagle, stared directly at me. But even so, I'm mad, irretrievably mad. I tightened my grip on the paintbrush, my fingertips pale. Liu Ryan softly spoke one last thing. Love him. The camera was focused on the canvas. 5 minutes passed, and I hadn't moved the brush at all. The entire production team was as quiet as if they had fallen into an icy abyss. This is hardly an official announcement. It sounds like it has nothing to do with Wang Tia. Finally, the director spoke through the earpiece. It's explosive, but it's okay. Either way, the live stream blew up. The hype is still skyrocketing. Artists, don't stop. Just paint, as Liu Ryan said. I picked up the brush several times, only to set it down again. The director said the difficulty is a bit high. How about trying an abstract piece? One that expresses emotion? Under Liu Ryan's watch. I tried to adjust my emotions. Finally, I stood up and threw the earpiece aside. I remembered the summer when I first met her. I remembered when she came to meet me through the wind and snow. I remembered her quiet sleeping face on the sofa at midnight. I remembered the way her eyes looked at me. I remembered her youthful and passionate kiss. I remembered the broken, hopeless look in her eyes. Memories that I deliberately sealed away. Years of restrained emotions now poured out. Overwhelming, wrapping me up. During those days when she kept winning championships, I had just come out of my father's prison. At the top of the mountain, she dove down like a soaring eagle. The snow waves she stirred up rolling and spreading. She crossed the finish line beautifully. She waved her gold medal, full of pride. Such confidence and brilliance. I suddenly realized there was a huge gap between her and me. When I left my father, I became nothing. I grew up without worries, never knowing hardship. I studied for a master's in art abroad, called myself an artist, but had no significant accomplishments to show for it. I used my father's resources to hold a few exhibitions, but never sold a single painting. But Liu Ryan, she's different. She had no support from anyone since she was young. She carried her ailing grandmother on her back and reached the pinnacle of her own world. While my world crumbled, her world would be full of applause and flowers. She'd have boys who could make her happy and excited, always by her side. While I had a father in prison, a pampered stepmother, a younger brother still in school, and enormous debts. I had no right to bring a girl who had walked out of the darkness back into the mire. I didn't even have the confidence that she would walk into this mire for me. So before she could abandon me, I chose to leave on my own. I threw the paintbrush aside, dipping my fingers and palms into the paint. I vented my anger, furiously smearing the canvas. I painted her, I painted myself. I painted the past, I painted the present. I painted the mockery of fate. I painted my own cowardice. I painted until I lost track of time, forgotten space, forgotten everything. I don't know how long I painted, but when I was done, my face was covered in tears. My fingers were stained and I collapsed onto the ground. For a long time after that, headlines from major media outlets flooded the news, all about that painting and that live stream. Many art bloggers started interpreting my work, using Liu Ryan's descriptions to explain my paintings. At the same time, the online backlash came swiftly. The entire internet was trying to find that PUA, the woman of world champion Liu Ryan. Clearly, it wasn't the national campus heartthrob Wang Tia. He himself came out to clarify. I've said 1,000 times, Liu Ryan and I are just friends. Yet you never believe me. Does playing together as children mean we have to be a couple? Does seeing each other frequently mean we're secretly meeting? Does caring for each other mean it's love? Liu Ryan's early posts on Maybach, her news, were all dug up again. Everyone quickly came to a conclusion. The man is somehow connected to the number 7. Clue 1. Every New Year, Liu Ryan would post a greeting picture with a watermark of the number 7. If you looked closely, it said, Happy New Year 7. She has posted this for 6 years now. Clue 2. All of Liu Ryan's competition snow gear had the number 7 embroidered on the chest. Clue 3. Every time Liu Ryan made a donation, The amount was always connected to the number 7. Male celebrities with birthdays in July or on the 7th were all scrutinized. Later on, some started to point fingers at me. The first person who knew it was Wang Tia. He came to find me, abandoning his usual sunny demeanor, and said seriously, "I wasn't sure it was you either." The day you crashed into Maybelline, Liu Ryan took off her helmet, sat back in the car, her hands trembling, gasping for breath. She kept saying harsh words, insisting on taking you to the hospital. When we got to the hospital, she made me get your clothes. That's when I guessed it was you. In these years, she's been running around everywhere, looking for you, struggling. She knew you were in Yanmi, but was secretly hiding in a villa on the mountainside, and even took part in this variety show. She found you, yet didn't dare approach. I don't know why, but such a confident and excellent person becomes so insecure in front of you. So cautious. I also don't know what kind of force made you feel like you had to leave her. If it was just your father's situation, maybe you should have trusted her. In this world, everything except life and death is trivial. If there are difficulties, face them together. If you truly don't like her, give her an explanation. Help her move on. I've tried with you many times. To be honest, I can't figure you out either. What do you want? Maybe only you know. After saying this, he left. The day I finished the painting, Liu Ryan looked at me, broken. My heart was in chaos. That response she had been waiting to hear stuck in my throat, and I couldn't bring myself to say it. My father in prison, the huge debts. Nothing had changed. What right did I have to respond to her? In the end, she smiled with resignation and left the small courtyard. That day, everyone listed in my white ledger sent me messages saying they had received the compensation and that everything was settled. I was stunned. Thinking back to the 3 days in the villa, thinking about the ID card that was taken from me, I quietly crossed out all the names in the white ledger, and on the last page wrote, Liu Ryan, 42,318,000. How long will it take to pay it off, I wonder? 10 years or 20, I don't know. Liu Ryan and I, silently, did not contact each other again. The last Maybach post she made was about me. At Liu Ryan V, thank you for your concern. I was not PUAD. The live stream was just a drunken outburst. A rant of resentment from unfulfilled desires. Apologies for occupying public resources. Please don't worry about my personal affairs anymore. Wish everyone happiness. After that, Liu Ryan seemed to disappear, no longer appearing in the media. No one knew where she had gone. Some said she had stepped behind the scenes. Others said she had gone into the mountains to do charity work, to heal. 2 years later, I was at the Naples airport, waiting for my flight, watching the planes take off and land. I felt a sense of relief I had never experienced before. Just now, I had paid off all the debts Liu Ryan had helped me clear. Part of it came from selling my paintings. Part of it was from my father's money. A year and a half ago, my father was released early. He knew the compensation had been cleared in advance. He sighed lightly. Is she the girl in the painting you mentioned? She's a good kid. No matter what, we can't owe her. Even if the assets are gone, the connections are still there. My father quickly started a new venture. He visited the families of workers who had suffered, courting the ones with financial difficulties. He made regular follow-up visits. Then he compensated those who couldn't find work but were willing to follow him. He arranged them in suitable positions. He said the legally required compensation could be repaid, but the pain and the life lost in the process would never be fully repaid. He would have to spend his whole life paying it back. And the value of my paintings came from that program. At the time, that painting became incredibly popular. There were countless videos analyzing the painting style and creative process. The program about it went viral. Art dealers who had previously rejected me started coming to me. They begged me to sell them that painting and promised that no matter how high the competition bid, they would offer twice as much, along with my paintings that had been sitting unsold overseas for a long time. They were quickly snapped up. Some people even drove all night to Yanmi, rushing to buy the inexpensive paintings I had left in my local studio. What used to be landscape paintings worth only $300 to $500 were now being sold for over $70,000, sometimes even more. The only painting that made it to the market related to Liu Ruya was the one of her standing alone in the Villa's quarter. A picture of her tall like a white poplar. Although her profile wasn't very clear, it was enough for people to imagine. That painting was anonymously bought at a high price. This time I went abroad. I was there to retrieve some paintings of Liu Ruya that I had previously stored away and refused to sell. At the airport lounge, only a few people were waiting. Lu Wei called me. My handsome agent brother, when are you coming back to the country? There's a great movie script called Desert Thorns. Come back soon and help me decide on it. I chuckled. Don't call me that. I'm not your agent. And I don't have the ability to help you secure resources. I don't care. Just look at the materials I sent you. Wang Tia said. This is something only you can do. I hung up the phone. Checked the attachments in my email. I scanned through quickly. And when I saw the investors list, I saw you Ryan's name. She's back. I was lost in thought, staring at her name. Suddenly, the boy beside me leaned over. He whispered in surprise. You're the artist Gu Yan. You're the one Liu Ryan has been thinking about, right? Isn't that true? I straightened my phone and showed him from a distance. He lowered his voice and continued. The answer's in your painting, She. No one could paint something like that, unless you were the person involved. I remained silent, waiting for him to continue. The boy suddenly grabbed my hand. Actually, many people guessed it was you. I think it's 100% you. I just want to know. Do you really have her in your heart? The boy looked at me eagerly, asking once more. I believe it's true. But I don't understand. She begged for your love so humbly. Why are you still indifferent? Why? Of course, it's because I need to pay off the debts first, just like she did before. After all, only by staying financially independent can no one owe anyone anything. To be able to speak confidently and without guilt, love must come from the heart, not from material considerations. I took a ticket for an art exhibition from my bag and handed it to him. On the ticket, in small English letters, it read, Love didn't meet her at her best. It met her in the rather messy. When someone is shining brightly, it's easy to gain admiration, to be loved, to be chased. But only when you're in the mud, in the low valleys, when you're broken and forsaken, can you find someone who still loves you like they did in the beginning? That is the kind of love that throws away worldly concerns and washes away the superficial. The kind of love that cherishes your soul's existence. I said, go see the exhibition in F month. Maybe you'll find the answer. The exhibition is called Painting Her. It will showcase all the paintings of Liu Ryan, except for the full nudity ones. There are ones I painted while watching her, and others I painted from memory, including this batch I retrieved this time. There are a total of 179 paintings. The boy excitedly screamed. Is it what I think it is? Does she know? Will she go? I glanced out the window, a smile curling at the corner of my lips. The end.